Oh hey, you're awake! Do you want some bone soup? Don't ask where it came from. I'm not crazy. Well, maybe a little. But can you blame me? I've been out in the Amazon rainforest, isolated for months, trying to regain my sanity by consuming mystery mushrooms, fending off stomach parasites because I ate a piece of cooked meat while my hands were dirty, and picking leeches off both my arms and legs because, somehow, I thought it was a good idea to go out into the jungle in shorts and a t-shirt, neither of which protect me from the nibbling bloodsuckers that are all too eager to cling onto my skin every time I cross through a bush or a shallow creek. Well, hold on, wait. What's that? Okay, the shadow people behind you told me to get on with the topic. Have you ever heard of Green Hell before? A lot of you might be thinking, this is just Sons of the Forest, right? I'll tell you, it's not the same developer, although it is the same engine and the gameplay is mostly the same, so yeah, I thought so at first too. Try to survive in a harsh environment filled with all manner of wild enemies that want to tear you apart as you build up a base to both defend yourself and provide shelter. Explore the ecosystem and discover new questionably edible objects to digest. Clear out an area so you don't get snuck up on all the time, and make sure that you watch your step, because fall damage is a real hazard. Now that I think about it, everything in this game is a real hazard, no matter how imaginary it might seem. I did think about doing a Sons of the Forest review, but this one has less of a chance to get me demonetized down the line. Hopefully. The game features 2 different story modes and a general survival option, all of which can be played with your friends, up to 4 players specifically. But only one of you can play as the main character, Jake Higgins, who I both feel sorry for and believe deserves everything that happens to him. A little heads up, the way I'm about to describe the story is not the same way it's served to you in-game. The plot itself is all over the place, where you experience it through a mixture of gameplay, scattered clues and notes, and hallucinations. So, to simplify your experience, I'll be telling the story linearly. You're introduced to Jake in the tutorial, which doesn't really explain much of how to actually play the game. Instead, you learn that Jake and his wife, Mia, have ventured into the Amazon rainforest in order to make contact with the mostly distrustful Yabahuaca tribe. Because, sometime in the past, Jake decided to write a book that suggested the natives had access to secret medicinal techniques not found in the First World. And, much like you'd expect, this prompted Big Pharma and the cartel to seek them out to cash in on a new discovery. Yeah, the cartel is here. Yet, somehow, when put side by side for comparison with major multinational corporations that actively decide each day who's getting their insulin shots and who can go rot without them, a band of smugglers doesn't seem so bad, except they are. Jake has been hired by Amolu Corporation, aka Brazilian Blue Cross, to establish contact with the Yabahuaca tribe because everyone else they've sent doesn't come back. Mia goes out by herself to earn the trust of the aggravated tribe while Jake categorizes flowers. Because if he went, they may go from aggravated to violently belligerent. Jake and Mia's plans go smoothly, as she calls him in the middle of the night telling him how friendly everyone is being and inviting you to come join for a big party. Okay, I'm lying. The natives may not have liked her being around. This causes poor Jake to panic and seek Mia out in pitch black darkness, which in turn gets him attacked and forces him to flee for his very life. You know, I can't help but feel that, I don't know, bringing an armed escort or experienced combatant along could have helped in some small way. Think about it, in Tarzan, the professor and Jane brought along Clayton, and while he would inevitably betray them, at least they initially had someone close by that could engage the unknown while they escaped. Heaven forbid Jake bring a firearm. That would cause the natives to become suspicious, as if they weren't already. Jake falls into a river and nearly drowns, but doesn't and wakes up determined to find Mia. Plot twist, she wasn't kidnapped. She was given a cure for her cancer. That's right, the real reason Jake flew out to the jungle was to find a cure for Mia's terminal illness, which is a running theme. Jake shares this cure with Big Pharma, who proceeds to make so much bank off it they could effectively offer their janitorial staff 401ks and paid time off, but we both know they didn't do that. This is not a game for happy endings, because remember that cure Jake found? It also has a mild side effect of putting everyone who takes it into a coma they can never wake up from, including Mia. To save his wife, Jake spit in the eyes of God, and so God blinked, halving the population of Brazil in a couple of months and snow whiting Jake's dearly beloved. Jake thinks long and hard to himself. If this is the Almighty's response to having saliva enter his ocular receptors, I might as well do it again. And so we're back in the Amazon, this time looking for a way to cure permanent sleep paralysis. At least this go at it, Jake came with more people who, when they evacuate after they're ordered to abort the mission, leave him behind. Partly because Jake's a wackadoo. This is the point that the story mode actually begins you at. Jake's broken psyche has his sense of time a little jumbled. Plus, he might have amnesia. Whether it's a matter of simple genetics or a combination of extreme grief, exhaustion, and a touch of magic fungi, Jake is slowly losing his mind and falling victim to an aggressive form of schizophrenia that literally causes fatal injuries to him from phantasmal aggressors that aren't even there. Being stuck out here for so long, I can relate. At the end of the story, the game diverges into two separate endings. You can either track down a cure or just leave. If you choose to go home without it, you'll drink a hallucinogenic mixture and participate in a spiritual experience, learning that your wife has passed away in the hospital, as well as the fact that Jake's book got the Yabahuaka hunted out of existence. Jake kinda sucks, but if you want the good conclusion, it'll involve shoving all sorts of random samples into a testing machine. Consumables, flowers, poop, whatever can go into it, you'll probably try. And with the cure to Mia's dreadful disease in hand, you'll drink the soup again, have a different vision, and your wife is still dead. Like I said before, this is not a game for happy endings, but at least you get to fix the problem you helped start. And you most likely get a premium healthcare package for some therapy afterward, where you'll pay most of the cost through your deductible, and the insurance company will likely deny their share of the bill. By the way, just in case you were wondering, I wrote these jokes back in November, long before certain, recent events in the healthcare industry. Moving on, there's another story you can play through, Spirits of Amazonia, which I thoroughly recommend. There are far more mission objectives, breathtaking spiritual journeys, and your wife is still alive and healthy. For now, participate in tribal warfare, save natives from uncertain fates, and earn the good faith of the friendlier residents of the rainforest. If you play through both stories and want to continue your time in the Amazon, independent of any contractual obligations, you can always try out survival mode, and there are always higher difficulties for a greater challenge. It's seriously more fun and actually how I was introduced to playing the game. Just some quick tips though. You have a watch on your wrist that tells you 4 unique stats you'll need to constantly keep up with: water, fats, proteins, and carbs. If these aren't kept at their highest possible values, it'll take a drain on your available HP. Let them get low enough and your character will constantly gripe about how hungry they are. For me, just one of these being low was enough to trigger his comments. It gets kind of annoying after a while, because while I'm worrying about how we're gonna survive to see the next day, my character is moaning about not having a balanced diet. Something else I should mention that may save you from directional disorientation is that the watch has a compass. All you have to do is scroll the mouse wheel to change to it. Initially, I didn't know this and got lost routinely when trying to find plants to heal my open wounds. On that note, it's already hard enough to locate certain herbs when you need them the most, so just memorize where you've seen them spawn and collect them often, because as far as I know, all herbs share the same spawn points. For a little bit more convenience, you can always make farming plots to solve the issue, and even capture animals to keep around the house as pets or emergency food supplies. Oh, and one last thing. The greatest draw this game had for me is not only am I stranded, but my character is actively losing their mind. You can always speed this up through various methods, such as hosting worms underneath your skin, the timeless classic of sleep deprivation, or even accidentally eating some meat that didn't come from an animal, which, by the way, is a great prank to play on your friends. And as we often found ourselves wandering aimlessly, we were accosted by voices of self-doubt and illusionary assailants that kept us on edge consistently. Needless to say, it's a fairly distinct experience you'll not find anywhere else. Remember, I'm not crazy, you're crazy. So let's be crazy together, because if there's one thing this game has taught me, it's that insanity loves company. Speaking of companies, the developer behind Green Hell is a little indie business named Creepy Jar, and they don't have many games at the moment, but I do admire how much they were able to accomplish with a project of this size. However, their investors don't always seem to share that sentiment. If you go onto their website, you can find financial reports and transcripts of their meetings. And let's just say, I'm not a fan of the tone some of these people take. I understand that investors lend their money to games just so they can make a profit. But reading these transcripts, sometimes the comments are uncalled for. This is why Gabe Newell keeps Valve private. Not only because he definitely can afford to, but because he doesn't want investors to chip away at the edges of a developer's integrity just because the people bankrolling it only want to see growing dollar signs. While I enjoy the game, I do have some complaints. The environment is fine, no change is needed. But remember how I mentioned the cartel? You don't actually get to confront them. You only find out they've been in the backwoods whipping the pots and absconding with natives for who knows what. It would be nice if I could go all Rambo on them with guerrilla tactics, but it's not within the scope of Creepy Jar's vision. Should you buy this game? Maybe. Should you buy it at full price? I sure didn't, but I'd still say give it a try if you can get it on sale. If you want to immerse yourself into a survival simulator that gives you a peek of what it's like to be a cast member member on a TV show called Lost from 2004, try out Green Hell and test your ability to last as long as you can against the ravages of nature. Because when you're hunted by jaguars, bitten by snakes, stung by bees, suffering from food poisoning, and steadily losing your grip on reality, at least you can enjoy living in a super cool treehouse far away from the problems of modern society. Let me tell you, it's much more appealing than actually doing that in real life. Oh, and in case you were curious, I filmed a lot of this using ModAPI, which allowed me to enter FreeCam, adjust my health values as needed, control the time of day, and many other things that came in handy. If you want to try it out, go over to Blight's channel for a step-by-step video on how to install it. Link in the description, though I will warn you, it has a habit of breaking the game. In my case, it made the NPCs and wildlife just freeze up. I had to restart the game and throw out my old save file, but I was able to explore the world and control the environment uninhibited. So, mod it at your own risk. Addendum! I figured out how to fix this. All you have to do is when you're booting up the game through ModAPI, disable debug mode and maybe FreeCam. This will put everything back to normal and make sure you don't lose days of progress. I decided to make a short summary of Green Hell I'll be featuring here in a moment. But first, please consider subscribing. Every time you watch one of my videos, I come one step closer to being able to do these reviews full time and factually breaking out of this PNG I've somehow gotten stuck inside. So just recognize that everything you do matters, and even the little things can have massive impacts on the lives of people around you. I mean it when I say I truly thank you for stopping by. Until next time, Dial Tone out. Green Hell. Get hunted by a jaguar. Get skewered by angry natives. Get poisoned by a rattlesnake. Become the chew toy for a crocodile and swarmed by ants and bees. Be hunted by that same jaguar again who won't let you leave your treehouse. And if you somehow survive all that, go insane as your body is infested with leeches and worms soon before you're confronted with hallucinations that may not be real, but definitely hit like they are. Build a home, learn to survive off the land, and explore the jungle hoping for a means of escape. But never forget, this is Green Hell, where there's always danger watching and waiting to pounce without warning.